Hello everyone. In this video I shall explain sonnet number 29 written by William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare is a well-known English playwright, poet and an actor of Elizabethan period, that is 16th century. He has written 37 plays and 154 sonnets. So as you can see over here, most of his sonnets were written during the period between 1592 to 1598. You should know that this was the period when the city of London was ravaged by plague, and Shakespeare at this point of his career he turned into non-dramatic form of literature that is towards poetry. Out of his 154 sonnets, 126 sonnets were addressed to a fair youth who is also known as Mr. W.H. There are several interpretations about who is this Mr. W.H. Some of the interpretations is that he is Earl of Pembroke, and some say that it is Earl of Southampton. The remaining sonnets 127 to 154 they are addressed to a mysterious lady who is known as Dark Lady. So here I try to give a very simple definition of sonnet. A sonnet is a lyrical poem of 14 iambic pentameter lines arranged according to a particular rhyme scheme. So it is very much clear that not all the poems of 14 lines they can be called as sonnets. It is a lyrical poem of 14 iambic pentameter lines. Sonnets are broadly divided into two types, Petrarchan and Shakespearean sonnets. In Petrarchan sonnet, named after Italian poet Francesco Petrarch of Renaissance period, the 14 lines are divided into an octave of 8 lines and a sestet of 6 lines. And the rhyme scheme is ABBA, ABBA, CDC, CDC or CDE, CDE. And in Shakespearean sonnet, the 14 lines are divided into 3 quatrains of 4 lines each and a concluding couplet. So here I will try to explain sonnet number 29 written by William Shakespeare, When in Disgrace. So the poet, this particular sonnet is about the poet's sad state of mind when he feels that he has been ill-treated both by fortune and people who are very close to him. So at this point of time he tries to explain the kind of mental state with which he is going through, the suffering he is going through, and how he can come over that suffering. This is what he tries to explain in this particular sonnet. So let's try to understand this sonnet line by line. So the poet says, when in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes. So the poet is very much clear in the very first line that I am in a state of disgrace. So disgrace refers to an act of losing one's respect and reputation because of some dishonorable act. So here the poet is in a state of disgrace both with fortune and men's eyes. As I have already explained, this was the period when London was largely hit by the plague and there was not much scope for many dramatists. Maybe for that reason he is saying that he has been ill-treated by fortune, and he is in a state of disgrace with men's eyes also. He was largely attacked by Puritans at that particular period of his life, and also a rival poet named Robert Greene. So in that sense he is in a state of disgrace. So what he is doing? I all alone beweep. Beweep refers to crying. I cry alone about my outcast state. He compares his situation to that of an outcast state. Here reference is about Old Testament of Bible, book of Job. So here he compares his situation to that of Job in Old Testament of Bible, where his suffering and his prayers were not heard by God. And I trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries. He says that his cries, his sufferings, his prayers are bootless. Bootless refers to useless cry, because heaven is deaf towards his cries or sufferings. And I look upon myself and curse my fate. There is a process of self-realization where he accepts the fact of his present situation and he curses his fate. So what he is trying to do at this particular point? Wishing me like to one more rich in hope. I want to become a person who is rich in hope. I don't want to become a person who has lost all the hopes in life. I want to have hopes in my life. Featured like him with friends possessed. I want to possess more friends so that I can come out of this hapless situation of my life. Desiring this man's art, and that man's scope. He is also saying that he is not satisfied with whatever talents he has got at this point of his life. He is desiring to acquire arts and skills of other person, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, because with what I most enjoy, contented least. Because with what I used to enjoy a lot earlier, today I am contented least. Contented refers to satisfied. I am not satisfied with whatever I have got today, whatever talents I have. So instead, I want to pursue other person's skill. Yet in these thoughts, myself almost despising. So I am sitting in this state of disgrace, and I am sitting here despising, detesting, cursing my fate, my life. Happily, at this point of time, happily, suddenly, all of a sudden, accidentally, I think on thee, I think of you. Here, you refers to his beloved. The moment I think of you, the moment I remember you, the moment I recall the memories of you, the love you poured into my life, then my state totally changes. Here, you see a kind of turnover. Everything changes the moment he remembers about his beloved, and his situation now is like to that of a lark at break of day arising from sullen earth. Now he compares himself to a bird lark which sings at the early hours of a day. So now I am like a lark at break of day arising from sullen earth. From dull earth, I am like a lark singing hymns at heaven's gate. I am like a lark bird singing at an early morning. So here you see a sudden transition. The memories of his beloved gives him a kind of pleasure, a kind of satisfaction. It takes him totally out of his state of disgrace. So he tells in the last two lines, the concluding couplets, he says, for thy sweet love remembered, when I remember the sweet love you poured into my life, such wealth it brings such wealth into my life. Here wealth does not refers to materialistic wealth. Here wealth refers to his state of mind, the state of mind which is full of pleasure, happiness, which is full of fond memories of his beloved. For thy sweet love, when I remember, it brings so much of wealth, so much of pleasure, so much of happiness into my mind that then I scorn, I refuse to change my state even with kings, even if I am given all the worldly wealth, all the wealth of a kingdom. Even after giving that, I am not ready to exchange that state of mind which gives me happiness when I remember my beloved. So here he tries to become more optimistic that he will definitely come out of his state of disgrace, and the only way to do that is to recall and reminiscence a love relationship he had with his beloved. So in this way, one can understand and analyze this sonnet number 29 by William Shakespeare. Hope you understood my explanation. Thank you.